So we're going to put that on the graph. 0, -6. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 right there. 0, -6. The thing is, we can immediately find another point on the graph because when we find our vertex, not only we're just trying to find the vertex, we are also trying to find the line of axis. And that means it's a straight vertical line that strikes through the vertex. So what we're going to be doing is striking through the y value or the x value. Here's an example. Since we have a point of -1, -10, -1 is going to be our line of symmetry or our line of axis because that is where the middle of the left and right part of the parabolas will meet into the middle. So that was an example of the middle. So here's another thing we can do. Since we have 0, -6 as our y-intercept, we can immediately mirror that to another point. What we're going to be doing is doing -2, -6, so they can both meet. Now we have to find 2 more parts of the graph, or 2 more plots or points on the graph that make sense to make our parabola. What we're going to be doing is using a ratio table. Okay, so here's our ratio table. We said that -1 for x will become -10 for y. When you input a 0, you will get a -6. And when you input a -2, you will always be able to find that is going to become a -6. So 0, -6, and 2, -6, they will always correspond with each other. So even though they have 2 different x's, they give you the same value because they're the opposite from each other. So let's try 2 more points that we can use into the graph. Why don't we try to use the point 2 and see what happens. So we have 2 inserted for x squared plus 8 with 2 inserted minus that by 6. So 2 squared is going to be 4, and 4 times 4 is 16. Plus 8 squared, that is going to be 8 times 2 is 16 minus that by 6. We're going to be getting an answer of 2, comma, insert 2 for x, 2, comma, 26. But that's a little bit off with the graph. Let's try another point. Instead, let's try something tiny, like 1 for example. So we have 4 with 1 squared plus 8x minus that by 6. So 1 times 1 times 4, it will become a 4. Plus 8 times x, which is 1. 8 times 1 will be 8, minus that by 6. So 4 plus 8 will become 12, minus that by 6 will become a 6. So we have the point 1, comma 6. Let's start graphing that. So 1, comma 6 is a point. On our graph, we have 1, comma 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So right around here. If you try to find a corresponding one, if we see the opposite reflection, here's 1, 2 to the line of symmetry, then 1, 2. Now we get to find that one. So we go from 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we can also write the point -3, 6. That will become a corresponding point on the graph to 1, 6. So -3, 6. These will be corresponding. What we learned from the graph today is this does not follow the opposite rule. Meaning, when we last graphed from ax squared plus c, it's easy to say, oh, we can graph -2, -6, and +2, +6. But that only happens when your b equals 0. But when b cannot be 0, the rule cannot be followed because you can't have two -2's to have the same y's or different y's. You can have different x's that equal to same y's, but you can't have two different x's that equal different or the same y's. Here's an example where that rule would look like. So you see how the two graphs or the two parabolas are in different places? That's why you can't always say that -2 and -6 will be the same thing as +2 and -6. That will only work if b equals 0. Let's make the parabola since we have enough points on the graph. So we start at the vertex, go to the right, make sure you're touching all the points to the parabola, and then the left. This is what our parabola should look like. Let's do the final analysis. So, does it face up or down? Well, it faces up because it looks like it's going up, and we can understand that by the expression how it's a positive number before the coefficient, or before the x squared. We have a minimum or a maximum. We have a minimum because the parabola that's positive is saying that this is how far you can go before you reach the limits for going down. You can go up however you want and as long as you want. And the number of x-intercepts, we're going to say it's 2 because there are 2 points on the graph where the parabola strikes through the x-axis. So that is all the analyses we need to understand how to graph the parabolas when b does not equal 0. I hope this video has helped you. Thank you for watching Taoping Life's Math Industry. Like and subscribe!